Hello and welcome to SEPAC Summer School for this summer, the year 2025. We'll be holding sessions on Tuesday evenings for about an hour, and you can find the class agenda at the following web link. And welcome. The first session is about the role of a SEPAC. My name is Leslie. I'm the MassPAC Director at the Federation for Children with Special Needs, and we support SEPACs throughout the state of Massachusetts. Our mission at our nonprofit organization is to empower families and engage diverse communities and eliminate the barriers to improve life outcomes for all children and young adults, especially those with disabilities. Together, we're building an inclusive world where every child and young adult experiences belonging and can participate equitably in life's opportunities. And I hope you check out our website and participate in some of our programs. Today, I'm going to review the purpose of a SEPAC, which is a Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Understand the tie-in between family engagement and how that benefits a SEPAC. I'll talk a little bit about SEPAC structure, how they operate, and some of the roles that they take on. The SEPAC in Massachusetts is an advisory body to the school committee. I'm going to explore ways that you can build your SEPAC, gather some parent input to really help you participate in your advisory role, and connect you to MassPAC, the project here at the Federation, in case you need to develop your SEPAC or need some resources. We have an annual membership. So I think the best thing that SEPACs do is give you a seat at the table. The local Parent Advisory Council provides direct input to the school decision makers. Those policies, programs, practices, and services that have an impact on students in the district. You are an advisory group. You're not a decision-making group, but your experience and information is so important to those who do make those decisions. In Massachusetts, having a local special education parent advisory council is part of our state law and regulations, and it's not required under our federal law, the IDEA, or Individuals with Disability Education Act. Under Mass law, every local group sets its own operational procedures or bylaws. It should be a parent advisory council led by parents, run by parents, and your local bylaws dictate who can be a member and who can be an officer. I think what SEPACs are really the ultimate family engagement group, because we know from family engagement research that when schools, families, and community groups all work together to support learning and students, that they have better outcomes. Students tend to stay in school longer, they do better in school, and they actually like school more. So as a SEPAC, bringing information and experience to the school district, working together to have better student outcomes, that's true family engagement. We have a wonderful statewide family engagement framework here in Massachusetts called Strengthening Partnerships. And one of the first key elements in that framework is building trusting partnerships. And I think that's another thing that the SEPAC does, is bring families together to start to work with the school to have better systems for students within that local school district. There are many, many benefits to having an effective SEPAC in your community. It's really more than just that monthly meeting. It's really the approach and a mindset that values the advice of parents when decisions are made, when policies are set in a school district. The SEPAC can do so much more outreach, direct outreach to families, that parent-to-parent connection, and help build those positive relationships. SEPACs are the collaborative problem solvers, testing ideas with a group of parents before they're implemented within the school system, or, bringing ideas to the table when there is an issue that has to be resolved. I think system change that's based on input from families, from the stakeholders, is so important. And something that CPACs can promote within their district. They become that trusted source of information and also kind of help share information out. So not only information comes through the CPAC and trickles up to the decision makers, the administration, the school committee, but also information can kind of flow out of the administration through the CPAC to families. It's just more of a trusting way of communicating. And the goal is really improve services and programs. And while we're doing all of this, we're going to build that trust, that trusting relationship, which you can then rely on when things are more troubled and you need to come together to problem solve. The most important element is to have a very inclusive group of family members within your school district. And so the law states that the school committee shall establish a CPAC. That's the group of parents that come before the school committee and state that they would like to be that recognized CPAC. And the law also says that membership shall be offered to all parents of children with disabilities and other interested parties. So the goal here is to have those most affected by the policies, procedures, and practices within a school district be those families that are being served by the district. So that could be parents or guardians of students on IEPs and also 504 plans, because by law, those are students with disabilities. It could also be parents of children who are in early intervention, who are just coming into the system, and they're important to kind of engage with and bring forward so that they're aware of things happening in the district. It might also be parents of students that are not formally yet identified, but also have a disability. We know that there are other types of parents, special education surrogate parents, foster parents, and other interested parties. So we want perspective from lots of different family members, and all disability types, because that's will make a very strong CPAC. One issue that I hope CPACs are aware of is that years ago they were considered a public body and had to follow our state's open meeting law and public records law. And there's been a change, a ruling by our Attorney General's office, the Massachusetts Division of Open Government, that concluded that CPACs no longer had to follow the open meeting law unless it was specifically stated in their bylaws. So that they determined that a body which a fluid makeup, which has an ever-changing membership and maybe a quorum, and that it carries out its role based on whoever attends those meetings, is not the type of body to which the open meeting law applies. Doesn't mean that CPACs can't still use some of the best practices around open meeting law, which might mean posting an agenda for a meeting in advance so people are aware of the topics that would be discussed at a CPAC business meeting, keeping minutes and posting them or making them available so that people could keep track of the decisions and the information that was shared at a meeting. So those are some best practices that you don't need the open meeting law to continue, and you're just not held to the same standard of the open meeting law, which was a barrier to many CPACs. The CPAC is also asked to cooperate with their school district because in our Massachusetts law, the district has the obligation to conduct at least one annual workshop for families on their rights under state and federal special education laws. And that workshop won't be successful unless CPACs help bring families to the table, to learning, to the workshop so that they can ask their questions and understand their rights and responsibilities. So what our state law has in it to talk about what the CPAC's duties are, there are three main areas that their duties shall include, but not be limited to. We know CPACs do so many wonderful things. So their duties shall include advising the school committee on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities, meeting regularly with school officials, and also participating in the planning, development, and evaluation of special education programs. And we'll talk about each one of these duties. Advising the district. This is a concept where it's difficult for some CPACs to realize that all of this information, all of their perspectives and experiences that they're bringing forward is really just advice. Very valuable advice, but advice. They're not the decision-making body. So that could be making recommendations, providing background on an issue or a topic that's before a decision-making board. Sometimes talking about those pros and cons, bringing those two perspectives to the table to help facilitate dialogue and decision making. And I think one of the best things CPAC can do is ask appropriate questions, drive deeper understanding of the issue and of the topic. Sometimes the CPAC goes directly to the school committee. Sometimes they advise the administration. And many CPACs have a liaison between the school committee and the CPAC so that information can flow and understanding can go back and forth. If you are new to a group or serving on a committee or on a group, there is some great free curriculum. It's called Serving on Groups. It's available in English and Spanish, and that'll help you understand your role as an advisory body and the difference between an advisory body and a decision-making group. This is all available online. This was an issue that came up that all of the CPAC said was the number one thing that helped them move the needle forward in their district, help them get that kind of respect from their school committee was meeting regularly with school officials, having that regular conversation, building that trusting relationship, understanding, maybe the tone of some of the conversation because you're meeting regularly. So that could be monthly or quarterly meetings with a special education administrator, could be joining some of the already established meetings, maybe a principal's coffee. The superintendent might have a parent leader group, attending school committee meetings, showing up to be part of these conversations. And so that I think is a really important duty, that there's some type of regular meeting schedule between the parents and the school district on issues that pertain to special education. This is the hardest one for a CPAC to realize, the duty to participate. And to me, participate is an action word, it's a verb. So to participate in whatever planning, development, and evaluation of special education programs that are going on in the district. Some activities could include maybe researching a specific issue, conducting a needs assessment of families and bringing that information and data to the table, making those recommendations, sitting on an advisory group or a subcommittee that would make curriculum recommendations, and even conducting trainings, making information come alive within the district, and getting that feedback, because that helps in the planning, development, and evaluation of programs. Evaluation can take many different formats. It could be collecting and analyzing information, reporting results, even creating an action plan, because that might have a regular kind of plan, do, study, act cycle that is important to the evaluation process, that continuous monitoring, so that because we want progress, we want improvement. So how does the CPAC get involved in this process in a more formal way? And this requires dialogue between the CPAC and the school district. The CPAC needs to have lots of things in their toolbox to function. The We talked about bylaws, and that would be your operational procedures. You may want to adopt a mission statement also, or some kind of goals for the year. We hope that your bylaws have a description of the roles that officers might take to help facilitate the operation, the work of the SEPAC, communication tools. SEPACs are a little bit constricted in terms of their outreach, and in that they don't have a list of all of the families being served by the district due to confidentiality. So they rely on the district to get the message out, to use their communication channels. But the SEPAC can also develop their own tools, a Facebook page, a website, whatever works for that group. I hope that a CPAC sets up some kind of regular meeting schedule, the logistics of that, meeting in a publicly accessible place. You may want to vary your meeting schedule so that you're meeting families who can be available during the day and those in the evening, and rotate. You can keep your own membership list and records so that you can do some outreach directly to families via email or other methods. But one thing I hope that you don't forget is all of the partnerships that you should be making within not only your school community, but your greater community. The CPAC, to be most effective in its work, should be talking to others in your community. And that might mean other parent groups within the school district, your town recreation department, your local library, and others in your community that may serve the disability community or just facilitate inclusive recreation. It's all about partnerships and making things accessible to students and families. You, under the law, you are shall receive assistance from the school committee, but that often goes to a free meeting space, or maybe the capacity to make copies or send things out through the district. It's not always a budgetary line item. I think one of the things that CPACs have to focus on is that advisory role. Shaping input from the families that you're hearing into, are these concrete issues? Are these systemic issues? Are these issues that are affecting more than one family? Because your goal is to make those positive changes in the programs, the policies, and the services. You're going to hear a lot of noise, a lot of issues that come across, and how do you prioritize to be able to be more effective? You can't do everything, and so having what are the couple of issues that are percolating to the top that you're hearing a lot about, or that are most needy at this time? And often, sometimes there's a crisis in the district, and that becomes that focus, that timely issue that needs to be dealt with. But often it's like the culmination of information that comes forward, and the CPAC decides, what it's going to be working on, so that it gets appropriate data, appropriate information, and channels that into the decision makers. Understanding that not all parent input requires CPAC action. The CPAC is not the problem solver for everything within the district. We know that CPACs do wonderful things to support families, all families in a school community. Often they have information that's important for families. They do a lot of outreach through websites, maybe brochures, flyers, resource tables. They might have a Facebook group that's open to many people. They attend community and school events. They host workshops. They provide learning for families. Often they have some type of a listening night to bring families to the table, so that the CPAC can be informed and as to what the priorities should be when they're advising the school district. And I think the most key thing is that support for families. So many CPACs arrange with the district to have a CPAC brochure or flyer or an information page go out with every IEP meeting invite, so that the family knows there is a special education parent advisory council operating in the district. Here's how to connect to them. Here's maybe when they meet, and so that they, if they choose to, can reach out and find that support of other parents within the district. SEPACs have some guidance documents to help them in their work. There is a Massachusetts guidance document put out by DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It's a little old. We're working to update it, but it is still available. It does have some incorrect information because it still refers to the open meeting law. And the new Mass guide is coming out soon. There is a wonderful national SEPAC guide called Advocacy in Action. It's available at the parentcenterhub.org. It's also on the Federation's website as a PDF copy. It's a really nice read as to the tone and the benefits of a SEPAC, a Special Education Parent Advisory Council in a local community. I think some of the next steps as you start to look at your SEPAC and to figure out where you are is to do that self-assessment. And it can be done just within the SEPAC community. And are you doing well to meet the needs of your members? Do a quick self-assessment, a meeting assessment, and there's some tools available that could help you. And there's also a more I think district-wide partnership type of assessment. The Massachusetts Strengthening Partnerships Family Engagement Framework has a fundamentals, multiple page self-assessment. And I like their kind of rating, self-rating is that, it goes from, well, we're not even here yet to, well, we started it, initiating it, we're progressing or mastering. And so this might be a really nice tool for you to sit down with members of your school administration to kind of get an assessment. Are you doing the right things within your school community to make it welcoming, to invite families, to have that, respectful atmosphere, and are you developing those relationships? So it goes a little bit further. So there's many different tools, but I think it's just a good idea at some point to do at least an annual assessment as to how you're doing. Are you meeting the needs of your families within your SEPAC and within your school community? So if your community is just starting or rebuilding your SEPAC, you don't have to pull out a new set of bylaws, have elections that first month and take off, because not everyone is ready for that. So you can develop some kind of an interim leadership team, a group of people who step up, who want to bring this group together and form and move it forward. You can hold an organizational meeting and invite everyone, make it as inclusive as possible. You can form a committee to draft bylaws. And the MassPAC project here at the Federation has some sample bylaws or draft set of bylaws that you can borrow and then customize to fit your community. I hope whatever bylaws you have, you share them out, get some feedback before you vote to adopt them. You can then figure out how you're going to promote this new group, working with the district, what kind of messaging you have the capacity for, whether you'll start some of these social media types of outreach, and planning to come together, some activities, some learning, some presentations, showing up at different events so that people understand what a SEPAC is. It's a new concept maybe in your community, or one that hasn't been around for a while and needs rejuvenation. And then ultimately you can adopt those bylaws and set a date for elections. It might be a 1-year process. It might be a 2-year process. It's really just the key is to get started and to bring families together so that they understand what the SEPAC is, what the role is, and then build that relationship with the district. MassPAC has a quick guide to starting the SEPAC just to kind of help you along the way. So MassPAC is a project at the Federation. We provide information, assistance, training, networking. We're really here to help you build your SEPAC and connect. And some of that is learning about best practices from other CPACs, because there's some that have been around and are doing some incredible work. So we support both parent leaders and the special education administrators who might be starting to build and support a CPAC internally. We work both sides. The goal is to get a functioning CPAC. And so we have a set of benefits each year. Our member year starts with and coincides with the school district year. It runs from July 1 through June 30th. And so we'll be having our MassPAC annual membership renewal information go out next week, June 30th, because the new year starts July 1. And districts usually pay the MassPAC fee, and that goes through June 30th of the following school year. It follows the school year, and you can join at any time. One of the benefits of MassPAC was to help districts be in compliance with offering that annual workshop, and the Federation has several workshops that discuss the basic rights of families under state and federal special education laws. And we've just changed the membership benefit for next year. And I hope this is a resounding success, because I think it's going to offer more workshops for CPACs in the long run. So as part of our benefits, this is just the snapshot of the benefits around the workshop. It will be an access pass to weekly evening workshops. So we're going to have a set calendar of workshops every week, Monday through Thursday, on the Federation's calendar. They will cover the 3 basic rights workshop. So wherever families are in the learning and entrance process in the system, whether they're interested in evaluation and eligibility in special education, they're already on an IEP and they need to understand it a little bit better, or they have an older student, ages 14 to 22, and then the basic rights transition planning workshop would be most appropriate to that family. They can access that on any given week, so that it's available as people come into your system, as people need more information, or maybe they just need a refresher. And so we will be offering those on a set schedule. And you're, as a MassPAC member, you will get a calendar so that you'll know when those events are and the link to have your families register. I think the other piece is, because we have 4 evenings each week that workshops will be offered after those 3 basic rights, which will rotate each week, we're going to offer an additional topical workshop. And this is a special workshop that might be one of the ones that we offer through our PTI around, say, suspension and discipline, bullying, or social emotional learning, but other workshops from other projects. For example, the Let's Get Organized from Family Ties, or MassPAC might be doing the full role of the CPAC, or planning for college, or understanding how to share your story. So new workshops will be coming in, and those will be available every single week. So your CPAC can schedule around the calendar and decide to hold a meeting and join that virtual workshop, maybe have a discussion afterwards, in your district, host a watch party. Use our calendar to support learning in your community. And there'll be lots more workshops available on a weekly basis than just the one that used to come under the MassPAC membership. So we're going to try this idea. I hope it works. And I think it'll be a really great benefit for you to be able to share more workshop opportunities with families in your communities under the MassPAC membership. So thank you for joining us. This is the best way to connect to the Federation and to ask any questions. Families, I think the CPAC shouldn't be the one to have all of the knowledge of information that families need to navigate special education. You just need to be able to send them to us. And that's what our information center does. So please connect your families to our center to have their questions answered, to discuss their options so that they are informed as they go through the whole process. So thank you for joining us for session 1 of SEPAC Summer School, and I hope to see you at our second session next week.